Alright, hello and welcome once more unto the Shark Stream. It's me! You know, like, I do the same thing every single time. It's Gage, hi, how are you? And welcome to another Final Fantasy XIV Thursday. I don't have a catchier alliterative title for these streams. You would think that maybe I would move it to Friday and be like, oh, it's Final Fantasy XIV Friday, but no. No, I won't do that. I will, in fact, go out of my way not to do that. Friday is still currently Four Horsemen Friday. We are going to be getting back into Darksiders tomorrow. I'm excited. Speaking of, I don't really have a whole lot to talk about with regards to 14 at the moment. We've got a live letter, I believe, coming up sometime next week, where I'm assuming we're going to get some information on 7.1, which I'm very excited about, including, like, not only just 7.1 and a date for 7.1, but also a date for 7.15, which will, of course, mean, hey, more Hildebrand streams. Hello, Lila. Welcome. So yeah, not a whole lot going on with 14 otherwise. There's some community shit going on. You know, it's the weirdest thing. You know, I will admit, like, I've seen a lot of people who talk about how good of a community Final Fantasy XIV is, and, like, I don't necessarily think that's false. I think that the 14 community is pretty decent, all things considered. But it feels like any time there's, like, some kind of, like, dust-up with regards to some sort of, like, major, like, I don't want to call it drama, because I feel like that's downplaying what's happening. Because just, for full disclosure, this is serious stuff that needs to be talking about. You know, misogyny, racism, that sort of thing. It's an important thing to talk about. It is an online community for better or worse. True, yes. But, like, I feel like every time it happens, and I mean, like, I may be the last person to comment on this. Like, there are incredibly few marginalized groups that I am even remotely part of. I have mental illness, and I'm queer. That's basically the extent that I've got. I am, for the time being, still a white guy, all things considered. I say for the time being, there's only one of those that's necessarily temporary. I will be white whether I like it or not. But at the same time, like, it feels like a lot of times there's, like, a lot of, like, doom posting, I guess, for lack of a better term, about the Final Fantasy XIV community. It's just like, oh, some best community on the internet. It's just like, look, every online community is going to have hiccups here and there. I think, to a certain extent, it is possible for certain online communities, despite having their issues, to still manage to do better than others, all things considered. I don't think that is necessarily out of the question. That being said, there is some shit that went down recently. I think my favorite one was the guy being like, this is why there's not more women in, first clear rating, and blah, 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 blah. And not only did his ex-girlfriend drag his ass on Twitter for seeing someone behind her back, the woman he was seeing behind her back also dragged him on Twitter for seeing her behind his girlfriend's back. And it's just like, dude, you managed to, like, okay. And then got dragged in multiple languages. Like, this dude, they were beating his ass. He was getting multilingually ass beaten in the QRTs. It's, quite frankly, it was a magical moment. Again, and I feel like this is the sense of community that you like to see online. That being said, him getting his ass beaten multicultural style in the QRTs should not detract from the very real issue, which is, like, you know, some of the higher tier, like, rating communities being, like, overwhelmingly, like, being very exclusive and stuff like that. Like, that does suck. I'm not the kind of person who can come up with a solution for that. I can only really talk about it. But it was very fun to watch. In non-FF14 news, which is the thing I wanted to talk about. So, I would save this for tomorrow, but, like, I don't have anything else to talk about for the next 3.5 minutes. So, a few weeks ago, I started my, second stream playthrough of Darksiders 1. And I had started it because there was a teaser for a new Darksiders game. And I got really excited. The other day, THQ Nordic Gunfire Games, I forget specifically whose account it went out on, announced that there was going to be a current-gen version of Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition. It's going to be released for the Xbox Series X, it's going to be released for the PS5. If you have the previous gen version of the game, you get a free update either with Xbox Smart Delivery or by downloading an update for your PS4 copy off of the PlayStation Store. Neat. 5 minutes later, they had to clarify, no, the updated version of Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition is not what we were teasing weeks ago. That hasn't been announced yet. And it's just like, I didn't see the announcement of the updated version, which, like, has, like, just a bunch of graphical updates and shorter load times, until that had already been appended to the end of it. And, like, I could see in my mind's eye just, like, all of the, like, angry tweets, just like, you guys were teasing a remaster? And it's just like, oh. Yeah, I can see where those puzzle pieces were put together. I'm glad that's not the case, though. I'm very excited to see what we do get for the Darksiders series, especially with Gunfire now wrapping up Remnant 2. Sorry, I'm eating buffalo chicken bites. I am expecting that once Remnant 2 is going to be wrapped up with its final DLC release, they're probably going to, I would assume, commit all their manpower to whatever this new Darksiders game is. And I'm hoping it's good. I'm excited to see it. I'm gonna eat this last piece of chicken. Alright. Let's get in there. Where's my drink? Hold on. Very mild buffalo sauce. I'm not complaining. Not really. Okay. I gotta get off this table. Ah. So today we are going to be returning to the MSQ. With the first of the Stormblood patches. Now, the patches for Stormblood follow a very similar kind of structure as other sort of like strings of patches in Final Fantasy XIV, where like the first 3 patches of story quests tend to be something of an epilogue to the story we just completed. In Stormblood's case, like, that even sort of continues into, like, the last 2 patches, but the last 2 patches are generally more of a prologue to the next expansion. I realized why before Trial Series, because I remembered where Trial Series takes place, so it would make sense to move MSQ first. Also, it has a lot to do with when the Trial Series was introduced. I try to come up with like a specific like structure for this. Excuse me. Whenever I put this all together, I still need to figure out like how post Endwalker gets put together. I gotta tell you, Endwalker is kind of a hassle to try and figure out in terms of how I'm going to do the New Game Plus, because you don't get the role quests until a few quests into the back half of Endwalker. Like, Endwalker is split into, like, Part 1 and Part 2. And the role quests aren't introduced until, like, a few quests into Part 2 of Endwalker. But my plan is that I'm going to be running all of the role quests. For Shadowbringers, this is pretty easy, because the role quests in Shadowbringers are introduced fairly early on. So I can just do, okay, I've played through the first half of Shadowbringers. We're going to take a break, and we're going to do all of the role quests. And I've actually, like, planned out the order that I'm going to do them in. I'm going to do them in the order that I completed them personally, because I kind of liked the way that it played out. And then the Dawn Trail role quests are very Hildebrand code. I fucking love the Dawn Trail role quest. Who is this? Level 69. Nice. Arenvald's adventure. Lys seems troubled. Oh, but the issue with the Dawn Trail role quest is that the quest that introduces those isn't part of the MSQ. It is a side quest. And okay, so all of the role quests have like a role master quest associated with them. With Endwalker, it's easy to manage that one, because all of the role master quests associated with Endwalker take place more or less at the same time. The role master quests for Shadowbringers, like the first one is like in Shadowbringers itself, like 5.0. But then the next one isn't until like a couple patches later. Like after you've finished the main quest. So it's going to be like a weird thing that I'm going to have to fucking figure out. But the quest that gives you the Dawn Trail role quests is considered a role master quest. So I'm going to need to wait until whenever the rest of those quests are added to the game to unlock the New Game Plus, and then I'm going to need to start that, stop it, then do all the role quests, and then run through the initial quest again to do the rest of it. It's a whole fucking thing. It's just, it's wild. Hey girl, hey, how you doing?
How we're getting on?
Oh, it's a voice quest cutscene. I missed voice cutscenes so goddamn much.
We've made good progress since we took back Alamigo, but there's one big issue we still have to address. Leadership. The Domans had Lord Hien ready and willing to take the throne, but we've got no one like that here. Theodoric was our last ruler, and he wasn't called the Mad King for nothing.
You know, I know somebody related to him.
Suffice it to say, our people have had their fill of kings, which means we need to find a new way forward.
Way forward?
If only it were that easy.
Like
Everyone
Shantae?
and his uncle has an opinion. For the time being, we're just going to have to keep leaning on General Aldin and the Alliance for support, and see if we can't find a solution together. Something tells me we're going to be hosting a lot of meetings in the near future.
Love a good meeting.
But if that's what it takes, I'm ready to talk till my jaw aches.
Smile.
The reach is yours, Nago. Don't do anything I wouldn't.
Aye, aye, Commander.
Ah, there you are. I've been searching all over for you.
Ironvald, my man!
Don't worry, it's nothing bad. That said, this might not be the best place to talk. Will you join me? I'll get to the point. Might you be interested in a spot of adventure? After all, we were adventurous before we were scions, were we not?
That's true.
After routing the Imperials and liberating Alamigo, I reckon we've earned a bit of respite, don't you? And what better way to spend it than by returning to our roots?
So, I feel, done an admirable job establishing a lot of, like, the, sort of fringe scions of the Seventh Dawn. A lot of the characters that are just kind of, like, hanging out in either, like, the Waking Sands or the Rising Stones. And just establishing that, like, yes, these people are here. They have names. They have, like, their own little stories they're going through. One of them was one of the people that was so mean to that one healer girl who went crazy and tried to resurrect her dead boyfriend. That's neither here nor there. She died also. She was killed by Livia and the Garleans. And in that, I feel I have done a pretty decent job establishing that, hey, yeah, Arnvald's been here the whole time. Now, when I was playing this, God, a couple years ago now, prior to Endwalker's release, trying to get ready for, trying to, like, you know, getting Eigeld's level up, playing her for the first time, that sort of thing. I got to this point, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy, and what is he fucking talking about? Because I didn't bother, like, mingling with the other characters, the other NPCs in the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, outside of, you know, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. So I didn't understand who the fuck Arnvald was. I remember your shock in New Game Plus when he showed up in the Waking Sands. Yeah. Now that I have done a bit of a better job making sure that, like, I know, like, hey, these are really, like, major secondary characters who have been here the whole time, it's a little bit less weird that he just kind of approaches me out of nowhere. Hi, long time no see. Sorry I wasn't on lately, and I have a lot to study. Understandable. It's good to see you, Asamoko. Glad you're back. Yeah. Alright.
So, what say you? Shall we call on Alphino and go adventuring?
Twist my arm, why don't you? Alphino has gained a new surrogate big brother. Right then, let's go and find Master Leveilleur. Actually, leave that to me. I want you fresh for our little adventure. Wait for us by the Aetheryte, and we'll be along shortly. See you there. Okay, goodbye. Oh, I gotta... Hold on. Alamegan barding. Alamegan barding. Alamegan barding. Let's go. Oh, hey, it's these two. Seems I'll be serving as a contact between Alamigo and the Scions for the time being. Naturally, my duties will also include spying on Beastmen's strongholds. We don't call them that anymore, Vamatia, but, you know, whatever. Now that freedom is won, we'd be fools to let it slip through our fingers. Though mayhap not on the front lines, I will lend what support I can to our Alamegan brothers and sisters. Bird time, bird time, bird time, bird time. Yump. Bro, we are waiting. Fortunately, that thinking is still a later issue tackled. It's true. Greetings, Igeld. 'Twould seem we are to accompany our involved on some manner of escapade. Have you any idea what we've gotten ourselves into? Allow me to explain. It'll be something of a history lesson, but I'll try to be brief. No snoring, if you please. Now, the events I would speak of occurred before the occupation, back when Alamigo was still a monarchy and Theodoric sat the throne. A uniquely brutal despot by all accounts. That he was. The King of Ruin suffered no rivals, real or imagined, and his dispute with the monks of the first ended with Rolga's Reach being burned to the ground. In the latter years of his rule, he was seized by the unshakable belief that unseen forces were conspiring to steal his crown, and so he ordered that every soul with a claim to the throne be executed, including his own family. The wealth of the poor sods he put to death became the property of the king, and it's said that these royal treasures were hoarded somewhere in the palace. Thus was born the legend of the Mad King's Trove. Ah, I believe I see the direction our adventure is to take. I assume you have a mind to unearth this hidden bounty. You assume correctly. And would I also be correct in assuming that this legend is widely known? Others must surely have gone in search of your prize, tempting as it seems. Well, of course, we won't be the first to make the attempt. Following Alamigo's liberation, more than a few eager soldiers turned the place upside down in hopes of claiming an easy fortune. They have, and here I was off saving the world. I could have been searching for gold. But even after scouring every room from dawn till dusk, they uncovered not a single coin. The gold lust drained away as quickly as it had come, and the legend of the Mad King's Trove remains simply that, a legend. Smile. But I see you have no intention of letting the story end there. Smile. What self-respecting adventurer would? Imagine, the three of us, delving into a decades-old mystery. Tell me the thought doesn't set your heart to racing. Well, okay. 3 and an unnamed NPC. Because we need a full light party. You know how it goes. Smile. Uh-huh. Me. You have learned the emote box. Yeah, fucking get them. Get their ass. Alright. If anyone can find that treasure, it's us. But even if we don't, the adventure will be reward enough, I reckon. Alphino, what are your thoughts? You can almost see the wheels turning in Alphino's head. The news of Doma and Alamigo's liberation has kindled the flames of revolution in every corner of the Empire. I hear the Imperial province of Dalmasca has already risen up in rebellion. That's a long story. Well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that for right now. Which means the Garleans must surely have their hands full. What better time than now to indulge in such a diversion? Tell us, Arnvald, have we any clue as to where we might begin our search? Well, judging by how the other treasure hunters fared, nosing about the palace isn't like to get us anywhere, so we'll probably need to, ask around. Would that be another way of saying no? Well, yes. I see. In that case, I shall pay a visit to the Allied archivists and request access to the records seized from the Imperials. The Garleans are meticulous about such things. They uncovered the trove during their occupation. The event is certain to have been recorded. In the meantime, the two of you can track down those who worked as palace servants and officials in Theodoric's day. Theodoric? 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 One of those. I gotta... Given that they would have been at least 20 at the time, you will be looking for people who have seen 40 summers or more. Anything they can tell you about the king and his bloody deeds may prove useful, so be sure to listen well. Honorvald, pray try your luck in the fringes and the peaks, whilst Eigeld makes the rounds in the Alamigan quarter. Ha! And here I was thinking I was the party leader. Not that I mind, of course. This will be about it, eh? We can meet afterwards at Gilbard's Gate. Okay. Alamigan Quarter it is. I have been doing the incredibly smart thing of doing Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and Stormblood hunts on a at the very least weekly basis in order to buy Aetheryte tickets. It is really nice to see exactly how much I save by not paying for teleports. In the palace? No, not me, lass. Surely you've heard stories of the Mad King. He used to hold public executions up on the Divine Audience. Anyone, and I mean anyone, suspected of conspiring against the crown was flung from the top of those steps. Suffice to say that I stayed as far away from the palace as possible. That's fair. I've been watching Rings of Power as it releases recently. I watched the first season like sometime after it had finished and found myself quite liking it. I know not a lot of people were huge fans of the first season, just kind of in general, but I rather enjoyed it. So I decided that when season 2 started airing, I would follow it like as it releases, and I've been having a pretty good time. This season has had some neat shit in it so far, I gotta say. A mature maid. Mommy? Sorry. Who said that? You want to hear an old maid's stories, do you? Aye, well, most of what I know of the Mad King is common knowledge. We'd only seen His Royal Majesty when he deigned to attend the executions he'd ordered. After a while, even watching his enemies die wasn't enough to coax him out of hiding. They say he started seeing assassins in every shadow and wouldn't set foot outside the palace walls. I was offered work there as a royal servant once, but the mere thought of it left me in a cold sweat. Yeah, that's fair. It's kind of odd to, like, okay. I know that, like, every fucking, like, intellectual property and franchise these days is being milked for all it's worth. It's somewhat odd to see the way that Lord of the Rings and, like, the Legendarium in general is having that done to it. I can't say there hasn't been anything that I've seen thus far that I've looked at it and said, maybe this was a mistake. Like, not even Gollum. And I played Gollum. Gollum wasn't good. But, like, thus far, Rings of Power has been fine. And I don't know. I think there's room for... I don't have a problem with, like, us getting, like, mediocre TV shows or anything. The world has had mediocre TV shows for hundreds of years. No, like decades. Like, mediocre TV shows are nothing new. I don't think the studios are particularly happy with having mediocre TV shows because, for whatever reason, the mediocre TV shows are also the ones they're spending the most money on. Which, you know, weird, but okay. I don't think Rings of Power is particularly mediocre. I think it's pretty good. But, like, you look at something like Halo, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't hate that there's a TV show. It's unfortunate that because they're pouring so much fucking money into these TV shows, if they don't do exceptionally well, they can just be thrown to the wayside, does kind of suck. Like, I think it's fine that for a while we had a mediocre Halo TV show. I would have been okay with the mediocre Halo TV show continuing into a third season. On some level, I kind of hope it still does. I kind of hope they, like, go to, like, a different service or something, a different network other than Paramount Plus, you know? I think that would be fine. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think it would be fine. I think I just think about Carnival Row a lot. You know? Carnival Row is such a weird fucking, like... Do I want to start talking about Carnival Row again? I feel like Carnival Row is something that pops up in my fucking brain meat and just, like, takes hold of me, like, every couple of months. 'Cause, like, what a weird situation with that fucking TV show, you know? Here's a retired Rogadine. I served at the palace of King Theodoric, and lived to tell the tale. One of the palace guards I was. Truth to be told, it was a dark chapter in my life, and one I'd sooner forget. Hardly a night went by when we didn't hear blood-curdling screams echoing from the inner chambers, which of course we were under orders to ignore. So we'd stand still as statues, trying not to imagine what horrors were unfolding within. If you're hell's bent on finding out what happened in the palace, head down the street here and ask old Ernold. Ernold? He was the king's head scribe. Ernold. Hey, Ernold. Okay. Weird. I'm gonna start talking about Carnival Row. I'm sorry. I have to get it out of me, or else it's it's just going to stay there. Carnival Row was such a weird fucking experience watching that show unfold. The first season came out pre-COVID. And then the second season didn't come out until like 3 years later. I'm finally going to learn about it at the same time. So, the first season came out, and it's a Victorian urban fantasy story where fae creatures are a lower social class than human beings. And that elevator pitch should tell you almost all you need to know about some of the issues that show has. It definitely reads and plays out like the writer wanted an excuse to come up with fun new slurs to have people throw around. That's the kind of show it was. And the first season, quite honestly, it's fine. Like, it's not the greatest show in the world. It's got a huge Frankenstein, like, goat squid monster. That's pretty dope. I like that. There's a central, like, mystery around, like, one of the main characters, like, its parentage. The female lead is bisexual, and hey, shout out to them not burying their gays and having her marry her female best friend at the end of the show. That's pretty dope. Good for them. The second season is a mess, though. The second season... It feels like with the first season, they were trying to set up so much with that show in the first season. And then they were told that, hey, you're not getting a third season. So they realized, oh shit, we need to resolve every single plot thread we set up over the course of like 8 episodes. And it's so weird, because like I said, came out pre-COVID, second season didn't come out until like 3 years later. When the second season was coming out, the advertising made a big deal of it. It's like, it's the final season of Carnival Row. And it's just like, I feel like, I don't think, like, it's good that they knew that they were only getting one more season and thus could wrap up everything in that season, even if it was, like, really haphazard and poorly handled. Not a lot of shows get that luxury. Halo didn't get that luxury. But as a result, there's a lot of plot threads that start and don't fucking go anywhere. Like, there is a whole subplot in one of the later episodes of season 2 where they're just like, we need to work with the incredibly racist police force in this city. And when I say racist, I mean bigot against fae folk, specifically. Like, just to be clear. In order to get a, like, high-powered minigun that we can use to take out this fucked up monster made of teeth that's killing people. And they managed to get this high-powered minigun, and they never fucking use it because it turns out it's too cumbersome. What was the fucking point then? Like, okay. Realistically, in real life, not every plan that is made pans out the way that we like it to. This is a fictional TV show with a plot that people plan over the course of a single season. If you're going to devote that much fucking time to something only to, in the end, decide, we can't actually use this. This entire endeavor was for fucking nothing. Like, what are we even doing here? it's so weird. And they do the whole thing where it's just like, oh, here's a society that's truly egalitarian, and it's the metaphor for like communism or socialism. But there are 100% secret police secretly killing people behind the scenes who are expressing dissent. It's just like, come on, man. How long's it been since the Cold War? I can tell you how long it's been since the Cold War ended, because I was born the same year that the Berlin Wall came down. It's been over 30 years since the Cold War ended. Can we stop this? Like, we get it. You weren't a fan of the USSR. It's kind of, get over it. The USSR isn't going to fuck you. Yes, I am, Arnold. What do you want with me? Bunny, bunny, banunny, banunny, banoy, bunny, bunny.
You would have me dredge up some undecidedly unsavory memories. Yet if our amigo is to move forward, we must needs acknowledge the misdeeds of the past. Very well, I shall tell you what I remember. I take it you know of Theodoric's paranoia and the public executions of his kinsmen. Those were terrible enough, but in his last days the king's fevered mind settled upon an even grislier method of disposal, which only a chosen few were unfortunate enough to witness. His Majesty ordered the court thaumaturge to unleash a vile curse upon the remaining members of the royal family. A magic would transform them into fiends of hideous aspect. The resulting monstrosities were then cast into the darkness below the palace. Even now they might sleep as troubled by nightmares. If others of Theodoric's blood were prone to share his madness, it may happen as the kindness of the monarchy ended with him.
Wow, you just kind of unloaded that all on me, huh, man? Guys, I learned some fucked up shit. Guys, excellent. Excellent timing as ever. We have but this moment returned from our own intelligence gathering efforts. Yeah, season 2 of Carnival Row just kind of ended with a whimper. And like, I guess that's what I'm talking about. It's just like, Carnival Row as a series, I think there is room for mediocre series, even if they are specifically written so that the writer can come up with a slur for fae folk that no one's ever heard before. But like with just the special effects budget that I have to imagine for a show like that, it's just like, yeah, it's just the cost of making any sort of like media these days is, you know, I was talking about this the other day, it's all ballooning out of control. Like, do we need seasons of TV shows that, like, each episode has the budget and length of a blockbuster movie? Absolutely fucking not. Like, you can have the length of a feature film, but just like be smarter about like how you use your, but like fucking goddamn Sherlock, every episode of that was like an hour and a half long. They were also released like one every like 7 months. But it's just like, I don't know. I was watching, May Leitz just put out a video, Nick Spheres, about a Japanese found footage series that I don't remember the name of offhand. It was aired on TV, and each episode is the characters investigating some bespoke some urban legend or bespoke haunting, and each episode is like feature film length, and they're very clearly low budget, but they do a fair amount, like, with what they've got that's very ambitious in the use of its low budget, which you kind of have to respect to a certain extent, you know? It's just that there's a point where it's just like, what are we doing? You know? Why do we need to do this way? Like, I guess I'm just worried that, like, Rings of Power might be one of those shows where it's like, it doesn't end up like Carnival Row, where it's just like, hey, we are giving you just like a heads up that we have a clear cutoff for this. You're not going to get another season after this. You have to wrap it up. I'm worried about that scenario because it's just like, okay, any sort of conclusion you come to in that scenario is just kind of by default going to be like unsatisfactory. I'm concerned about it becoming like Halo, where it's just like, we're not going to let you know we're not renewing you for another season until after your current season concludes. In which case, it may end on a cliffhanger that we never get a resolution for. And there's part of me that's just like, if you want to do these, like, huge, sweeping stories that require, like, I appreciate Sauron being rebirthed as a mass of writhing black worms. That's cool. But if that's going to put you, like, absurdly over budget to render that in live action, why aren't we just, like, making these, like, animated at this point, you know? Like, I'm not talking about, like, animation as, like, a budget choice for, like, some of these, like, higher concept shows. It's just, like, if you need to be smarter about this and you want to, like, get your money's worth and have these last longer, why not just make an animated show? I would have watched Rings of Power if it was animated. I think an animated... Like, I've watched animated Lord of the Rings stuff before. It's pretty good. I mean, quality varies, but... Alright. Since we're all here, why don't we share what we've learned? Okay. Allow me to begin, then. As promised, I scoured the Imperial records for any mention of fantastic treasures, and found precisely none. It is just possible, I suppose, that a corrupt official deliberately hid the fact of the trove's discovery, hoping to enrich himself, but I find it rather unlikely that so valuable a find would stay secret for long. I conclude that our prize either does not exist, or that the Imperials somehow overlooked it. Hello, Lucas. Welcome. But what of you, Eigeld? Were your investigations any more fruitful? How are you doing today, Lucas? I saw some far-right idiot in Brazil got attacked on TV with a chair. I thought that was pretty funny. The context for that was amazing, where, like, he was antagonizing... Oh, that was some days ago? Yeah. The context for that, as I understand it, is that he was antagonizing... The guy was, like, antagonizing the dude who eventually assaulted him, just like... Oh, what's he gonna do? He can't do anything. And in response, the dude just, like, picks up a chair and beats him with it. And I'm watching this, I'm just like, yeah, alright. And it was very funny because the GIF that I saw cuts off very abruptly, and the tags explained that the reason that it did that was because the footage on TV immediately cut to commercial. The candidates all around here are depressingly bad options so far. Oh no. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that. Turned into monsters? What could he mean by this darkness beneath the palace, I wonder? I met an old man in Alighieri who spoke of the palace's subterranean prison, but he said not of cursed abominations. The Imperial archives were also silent on the subject of fiends inside the palace grounds. Could this scribe fellow have been spinning her a yarn, do you think? Do you believe him, Igeld? I don't see why not. His fear seemed genuine. Bunny bunny banunny. If he was afraid, that does lend credence to the tale, but I'm not sure how that helps us in our search. Do not be so hasty. Ernald's anecdote may very well have told us where the trove is hidden, but ere I share my theory, there is a matter I would clarify. Arnvold, you spoke of a light-hearted adventure, but I sense a deeper motive for this expedition. Why are you so intent on finding this treasure? Well, I don't know. It wasn't all pretense, I swear it, but you're right. My father was in the Imperial Army, a man of Gallian blood. I trust you know what I mean when I say that my Alamegan mother did not welcome my arrival. Uh-huh. As I grew, she would check my brow over and over, convinced that a spot on my skin was an emerging third eye, like the kind you see in pure-blood Gallians. My mother did not care for this taunting reminder of my heritage and took up a knife. War paint serves to cover the scar. Guy who hit with a chair as a TV celebrity, his counterpart for my state's TV is also a candidate. In the end, she turned me out into the street, and I was left to haunt the alleyways of Alamigo, a feral child who got what he needed through begging, cunning, or worse. The best I could say about the years that followed is that I survived, and I hated the animal I'd become. Eventually, I left the city behind me and joined a group of refugees bound for the other side of the wall. It was then that I turned to the adventuring, and that road led me to the company of the Scions. There's Minfilia. Been a long time. Been a long time. Been a long, lonely time. I tell you this so that you understand. I know all too well what poverty and hunger can do to a person. I drew steel on ordinary folk for a measly crust of bread. With Theodoric's gold, I could spare my countrymen the shame of living like that. Thank you, Arenvald, and I apologize. That cannot have been pleasant to recall, but I felt it best to be clear in our intentions. Well, Igeld, are you content to surrender the treasure to Arenvald's noble cause and claim the thrill of adventure as your reward? Yeah, I got enough gil as it is. Then I should be glad to tell you my theory on the resting place of the Mad King's Trove, if you are minded to hear it. It's literally just Igeld Shurk's whole MO. Are you going to need help queuing? I shouldn't, because all of these dungeons can be done with duty support. If I run into any bosses, I don't know. Are there any bosses until Tsukuyomi? Hold on. Nope. Right, because this one had a trial series. So yeah, I'm just going to be doing duty support for all the dungeons, so no worries. Well, out with it. What's this theory of yours? That's false. You have a solo duty in this one, but also a dungeon. Gotcha. The Mad King's Trove. Alphino seems eager to share his theory. Actually, mayhap it would be better if we first adjourn to a more suitable location. In case a rival treasure hunter overhears our plans, you mean? Good thinking. That was not exactly the reason, but 'tis certainly a valid concern. Let us reconvene on the southern edge of Loch Seld. Guys, let's make Alphino swim a lot. Wait, what am I doing? This is MSQ. We use bird for MSQ. I'm just here for a few minutes. Fuck! TTRPG session starting up, but wanted to say hello. Hello. Yeah. It's a big wall. Big wall. Anyways, I think there was another point I was trying to make earlier. It feels a little strange to be giving Lord of the Rings and the Legendarium the treatment that it's getting, like the milk the IP for all it's worth. But at the same time, like, I've kind of missed, like, multimedia projects. And I mean, like, this isn't purely a multimedia project. What this is the Tolkien estate is just, like, doling out licenses, like, left and right to get as much money out of J.R.R. Tolkien's work as they can. Let's be real. Cause, hold on. When does The Hobbit enter public domain? In the US. The Hobbit is only 8 years off from being public domain, which means that any characters from The Hobbit, as they appear in The Hobbit, can be used by anyone. The Hobbit can be adapted by anybody that wants to at that point. With caveats. You obviously, like, the way that it works is that you can't use, like, stuff from, like, later works in the Legendarium to supplement The Hobbit if you're adapting it, because you have to use stuff that was only present and only available in The Hobbit. It's a whole fucking thing. I won't even get into it. And it feels like they are trying to just get as much as they can out of the intellectual property before they start losing chunks of it. But again, like, I'm old enough to remember when, like, you know, The Matrix was at the height of its popularity, and, like, we were getting video games, we were getting comics, we got the Animatrix, we got all sorts of cool shit. So, like, I'm not opposed to, like, multimedia franchises. Like, I'm not opposed to Lord of the Rings not just having the movies, but also having, like, spin-off movies, or, like, a TV show, or, like, a fucking whatever goddamn video game comes out next. I have been wanting to try that dwarf game that came out for a while now. Does that have a physical release? Hold on. Return to Moria. Does it have a physical release on Xbox? Does not have a physical release on Xbox. Damn. Maybe someday. Come now, Alphino. You don't leave us in suspense. Let's hear this theory of yours. I could go for a voice cutscene. No? Okay. Forgive me. It was not my intention to draw out proceedings. I simply wished to have the lock in sight while I explained things. Prior to the great flood of the 6th Umbral Calamity, the salt lakes you see before you were yet dry ravines. And this, believe it or not, was the site of the ancient city of Scala, which rose and fell during the 5th Astral Era. From what we know of the period, the city was already deserted by the time the waters began to rise, having been all but destroyed by war. Yet its ruins remain to this day at the bottom of Loch Seld. It is my belief that the darkness beneath the palace, mentioned by Theodoric's former scribe, was not a reference to the prison, but to a place still further below, the ruins of Scala. I further surmise that the Mad King's unfortunate kinsmen were cast down there not simply out of desire to punish them, but to discourage exploration. Theodoric wanted to keep the ruins secure. Wait, you're saying they were meant to guard the Mad King's trove? Precisely. And since we know the court thaumaturge was involved, we can safely assume that any entrance into the old city will have been magically concealed. Which would explain our legion of Imperial soldiers and the gods know how many Alamegans never found a trace of the trove. Uh-huh. We, however, have certain advantages which they did not enjoy. Igeld, would you be so good as to swim down to the bottom of the lock and search for an underwater route into the ruins? While you do that, Arenvald and I will seek out an ensorcelled portal within the palace. Okay. Have fun, guys. I don't know. I want to get back into... I'm thinking I might get back into... I want to say that I want to get back into Middle-earth games once I have done a fair amount of Hellboy Web of Word with Molly. But at the same time, I really ought to get back to Breath of the Wild at some point. You discover a passage that appears to lead under the palace foundations. Press on and find out where it goes. Because I still haven't finished Breath of the Wild. You come to a worn stone door standing temptingly ajar. It would appear you have found an entrance to the subterranean ruins. Igeld, it's Alphino. We have searched the prison beneath the palace and found a teleportation portal concealed by enchantments. The markings indicate it leads to an underground cavern. What news on your end? You ever think the first dungeon in 4.1 and 6.1 are similar lead-ups, even though the mood is very different between both? That's true! What news on your end? Bunny bunny banunny banoy banunny. And you believe it leads into the ruins? Then I dare say we will be able to meet within. Go on and head through the door. Okay. By the way, I took the liberty of calling on a friend for help. I guarantee she's both dependable and discreet. We'll see you soon. The drowned city of Scala, now accessible. So that's how they explain you having a fourth NPC to fight with you. Oh, Jamoldva! I forgot that it's a named NPC. One is for more compassion, that other is a little compassion, but also two idiots. Let's fucking go. I really want to get into more Middle-earth games, in part because, like, I just have a lot on hand. I want to play the old Hobbit game for the, like, that came out on, like, the Xbox, GameCube, and PS2. Because I have that. Wool and Resident Dragoon rub their one brain cell together. There we go. That's some good placement. I don't know, there's just such a, like, nice spread of, like, Middle-earth games to play. I want to do as many as I can, you know? Like, even before, like, the current, like, dearth of games that we're getting. Like, not just Gollum, not just Return to Moria, but also, like, there's a Hobbit game coming out that's kind of like, almost like an Animal Crossing style game. Not like The Hobbit, but a game about hobbits living in the Shire. Like, I think that's neat. There's a lot of interesting, like, room in that world to just kind of, like, play with your toys, you know? That's what I always like to see. The thing that I just really appreciate is, like, people taking that world and just kind of doing their thing with it. Even if sometimes it sucks, like Gollum, the video game. I do know that there is a... It's the weirdest thing. So, the Hobbit video game came out around the time that the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies were coming out. And, like, that was kind of a big deal for that game, where it's just like, hey, do you want to know the story of what happened prior to the movies? Buy our video game. Like, it's perfect advertising. But then there was also a Fellowship of the Ring game that doesn't have anything to fucking do with the movies. Like, they didn't start making games based on the movies till, I think, at least Two Towers. I haven't played a lot of these games, unfortunately. But, like, that's just more reason why I want to play them, you know?
Try this!
Oh. Like, genuinely, I feel like one of the best things about, like, gaming right now is that there is so much. There is so much, like, I've been playing video games since I was, like, since, like, the Genesis, since, like, the SNES. And I barely scratched the surface of what's out there. There's still, like, people who are playing games today, like, I don't understand how someone can limit themselves to, like, just new releases, you know? Like, there's so much out there. There's so many, like, new experiences you haven't had. But you could have. Like, do you think about that? Do you ever fucking think about that? There is a video game for the children's book, The Hobbit, that also adds a female elf that wasn't present in the original story, much like the Peter Jackson movies do. I've never played it. That would be a whole new experience for me. That's wild to think about. There are so many games. It's true. I double holied. Whoops.
Away with you!
Just make up that a little bit. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Like, this is kind of, because this is honestly like one of the reasons why I like streaming so much. Is because, like, occasionally, like, I'll play something that someone is just like, I've never seen this, I've never heard of this game before.
I have my pride.
And it's just like, can you imagine that? Being someone's introduction to a new experience they've never fucking had? And there's so many of them out there. I was just able to do, like, fucking... Goddamn, how many? That was, like... I was just able to do, like, a month and a half of just X-Men games, and I haven't even played all of them. Like, I've played 4. I played 4 different X-Men games over a period of a month and a half. More than that, almost 2 months. I don't want whatever's in that. I don't fucking care. But again, those aren't even the only X-Men games out there. That's just, like, what I own and what I can play the easiest. There's so much. There's so much. And it is just, like, the world is so full of fucking wonder. Do you understand? Do you understand that the world is full of wonder? Because it is. Like, how many months did I spend playing Spider-Man games? I only played 5. There's so much more! Like, I'm talking about possibly doing, like, oh, I want to do the Hobbit game. Like, I have... So, okay. My current plans for Middle-earth streams, having done Gollum, is, at the very least, the Hobbit video game for the Xbox. Lego Lord of the Rings, Lego The Hobbit, and at least Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, because I actually really like that game. That's not even half the Lord of the Rings games. That's not even half the Lord of the Rings games based on the Warner Brothers version of that story. Like, that's wild. And this is the sort of shit that I get excited for. Like, yeah, I could also probably play Return to Moria. I could get that Fellowship of the Ring game that isn't based on the first Peter Jackson movie. I could get Two Towers, follow it up with the Return of the King game. I could get that one that's like a turn-based RPG that the entire concept of it is a man who isn't Aragorn, an elf who isn't Legolas, and a dwarf who isn't Gimli, just kind of following the main characters around, just like 2 steps behind over the course of the whole story. I remember seeing a review for that game on X-Play years ago. I could, against my better judgment, do a Shadow of War stream again. I did a one-off of that game, like, once, forever ago, with the hope that it would push me to, like, actually keep playing that game and possibly finish it. It didn't. I don't like Shadow of War. I genuinely like Shadow of Mordor way better. But also, Shadow of War apparently goes some weird fucking places, and I kind of want to see that. So, I don't know. Maybe. Like, we're... And, like, there's so much more, like, in Final Fantasy XIV that I still have to do. Like, we're doing MSQ right now. We've been doing, like, raid stuff. There's so much. There's so much in this game that I haven't done. There are plot lines and side quests and, like, bits of lore that you find out from those that I am not even... I have barely touched Bolgia. Bolgia is, like, its own fucking expansion in and of itself. It's buck wild. I'm sorry. The beauty of the world has overtaken me. The beauty of gaming and all of the, like, new experiences that it brings has overtaken me. I've become one of those guys that goes up on stage at, like, the Game Awards and spins like a flowery yarn about how gaming brings us all together. But, like, rather than being, like, forced to do so by corporate in order to make people want to buy product, I'm just doing it because I like video game. Video game good, generally speaking. I kind of went off on a tangent there. I'm so sorry. Well, why am I apologizing? I went off on a tangent on how much I love gaming. Why would I apologize for that? Weird behavior from me, specifically.
Away with you.
That energy drink just really hit me. And for a moment, the world was beautiful. I think one of the other things to consider here is that, like, I've been saying all this shit, like, about, like, movie tie-in games. Like, we're not even talking about all, like, the, like, original, bespoke, like, experiences there are out there that, like, I've never even seen, much less played. Final Fantasy XIV is the Final Fantasy game I have spent the most time with. Second to that would be Final Fantasy X. I didn't even play that game, I just watched someone else play it. It's one of my favorite stories in the franchise. I love Final Fantasy X. I haven't touched like a single other Final Fantasy game basically in my life. That's not entirely true. I played a little bit of Final Fantasy VII. This boss has a Easter egg that I'm not 100% certain if we're going to get, but it would be really cool if we did. So I'm really hoping. If we don't get it, I'll just tell you what it is. It's fine. I'ma blast him. Oh, let's see. No, it's the fucked up man. There is a small percent chance that when that guy, like, cracks wide open like a Matryoshka doll, there's actually a fat cat inside. I have seen that happen, I think, exactly once. Aw. I'm a little bummed that this one got updated when they did like a big update to the way a lot of the dungeons played. There was a mechanic in this one where there were these like big bottomless pits that you had to get over by transforming into a ghost temporarily. And they got rid of those. It's very tragic. Whoop. Mechanics of patches past. Patches. Like from Dark Souls. Now they just give you a bridge. It's not nearly as fun, but what are you gonna do?
Focus. Release.
Like, if I... It's kind of... How to explain this? To a certain extent, it bums me out how, like, a lot of these... Like, the temptation is to describe it as, like, them taking away the uniqueness of a lot of these dungeons. The temptation is there to describe it as that. But I also kind of understand in that one of the great things about Final Fantasy XIV is that the game never makes you, like, feel bad if, like, there's no downside to taking time off from it, I guess, is kind of where I'm getting with this. So, like, the altering of the dungeons to change around the mechanics so that you can better do, like, trusts with them, or so that they're a bit simpler, quote-unquote, to get through. It's all in service to this idea of just, like, making it more, I guess, welcoming to people who are hoping to play, like, a bit more casually. And I think that's fine, honestly. Oh, it was a person. Hey, don't look at me. Go over to him. Okay, calm down, Alphino. Whoop.
Leave it to me.
Ooh. Is that Theodoric on the wall? He looks like a Mad King. Like that hairdo? Ugh. Alright, let's go kill this fucking... whatever this goddamn thing is. Broderick Poison Tongue. Ow. Bitch. Oh. It's the Eye of the fire. Something a monster fucker might love. That's true. This is very monster fucker coded. Oh god. I'm just focusing now. Born from blood of a common brother. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. I can't carry any more allegations or poetics. What does everybody have to say? Jamoldva? Arnvold has gotten stronger, hasn't he? Piles upon piles of treasure. I can scarcely imagine how much there is. Alpha, now one more time. To think that monster used to be a man. Yeah, I'm kinda. Got anything good? Scalix Sarawell of Scouting. Ugh. Oh well. Why did I make such a... Why am I so disgusted by it? Look at that weird ass.
It would appear this place is yet inhabited by King Theodoric's kin, or what is left of them. The work of terrible magics, I fear.
Terrible, aye. But their misfortune is our fortune?
Quite. By the 12, there is even more than I imagined.
Oh, I can't wait to see the look on Lisa's face. Thanks for believing in me, you two.
You're welcome. Oh, I was hoping that cutscene was longer. Alright. Gods, but what a dark and treacherous trek that was, with abominations waiting for us at every turn. In other words, it was a proper adventure. Arnvold and I tried to do our fair share, but I fear you ended up bearing the bulk of the burden as usual. You truly led the way with your adventuring prowess, my friend. Aye, without your help, I reckon we'd still be fumbling about in the dark. I'm glad I called on you. I must say, I am still reeling at the sight of that mountain of riches. What, like how you reeled at the sight of that floating spectre, you mean? I wish you could have seen the look on your own face, Alphino. Must we dwell on such momentary lapses? We've found the Mad King's trove, and that is all that matters. Mew mew. Na, 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 na. First Estinian, now Arenvald. 'Twould seem there is much amusement to be had at my expense. Honestly, I might as well go adventuring with Alice. Oh, Jamoldva! When Arenvald asked me to lend my spear, I didn't imagine it would be for such an adventure. I'm grateful for the chance to be a part of it. I'm glad that you were here. Arenvald is still grinning at Alphino's discomfort. All jesting aside, we must tell people the good news. I think Lise should be the first. Seconded. She is bound to be delighted. If I am no longer needed, I shall take my leave. Thank you, Jamoldva. Of course, don't let us keep you. Thanks again. Say hello to Vama for me. Glad she gets to play a part. Ooh, that's great. Glad she gets to play a part. Yeah. Now then, there is to be a meeting of representatives from across Alamigo, so Lise is sure to be in the city. Shall we seek her out? Yeah, alright. Let's go, Hazel. I just get excited about games. I get excited about streaming, which I think is good. Oh, hey, there's Lise. Like, it wouldn't be out of character to say that, like, the days that I stream are some of my the times that I'm streaming are some of like my like favorite times of the week, in all honesty. And you know, I'm glad that I've seen people who have been doing this like for a living, honestly, that like you know, they have to take like these huge hiatuses because like they've been doing it so much and they've got like all sorts of like other projects going all at once that they get really burnt out. And I always sort of recognize that as a possibility for me because I also have a day job that stresses me the fuck out because I do customer service, so you can imagine how that tends to go. And like I've talked about this in the past, how there have been like times where I have felt myself like on the brink of burnout and recognize that like, yeah, I should probably like take a break for a week. And what always ends up happening is that by the time my break is over, I'm excited to get back into it. And it's just like, I like feeling that excitement because like even if like sometimes I'll come on here and I'll just have no fucking clue what to talk about. Like all of my like commentary over the course of the stream is just me reacting to what's happening on screen or like reading out text. Like even if I come on here and like I don't go on a wild tangent about Lord of the Rings games and Rings of Power and whatever. Like by the like it's not like I'm coming on here and my like vibes are just rancid. Like I'm usually pretty good about recognizing where it's just like, hey, I can't do this today. There are times where it's just like, you know, there are times where it's like I'm having a bad day and I don't feel like I'm going to be very good for streaming that day, in which case I will go ahead and like take a break. There have been other times where it's just like I've been having a bad day and it's just like, you know what? Streaming is going to help me feel better. Because I just like doing this, honestly. Part of that is it gives me an excuse to talk to myself, which I do anyway. I don't need an excuse to do so. But it's kind of fun to have an excuse. Let's go talk to Lise. Is this cutscene voiced? I could use a proper voice cutscene in it. Cutscene. Proper voice cutscene, I swear. Oh, you three look pleased with yourselves. What have you been up to? I'm glad you asked, Lise, and I'm pretty sure you're going to like the answer. Blah 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 blah. Okay. You're joking. The Mad King's Trove. I thought it was a myth. So did plenty of people, but they didn't have Argale and Alphino in their party. The credit for finding it should really go to them. As to what to do with it all, I vote that it go towards alleviating the suffering of Alamigo's poor. Gods, there's as much as you say. Arnvold did not exaggerate, I assure you. We could not hope to carry even a fraction of it out on our own. I have taken the liberty of sketching out a rough map of the ruins. If you will assemble a squad of your most trusted freedom fighters, they should be able to follow the route to where the treasure lies. And we know that it's a good map because Alphino improved his drawing skills to impress girls. Man, I wish her outfit wasn't gender locked. One day. Understood. I'll make sure every coin is accounted for, and that goes for the spending of it as well. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, there is one other thing. When the time comes to draw up a plan for distributing the spoils, I would ask that you consult Alphino. I don't have a head for details. I'm not educated. I see that simply handing out sacks and gil won't solve everything, but I couldn't rightly tell you what to do instead. Oh, I know the feeling. I'd welcome any advice you could give us, Alphino. Of course. I shall be at your disposal. Alphino knows the pitfalls of spending not being properly accounted for, let's say.
Commander, we've got a problem!
Deep breaths. Tell me what's happened.
A mob's gathered outside headquarters and they've started making demands. You'd best come and see for yourself.
Okay. I did see like a group of people being like, we demand freedom or whatever.
Step back, all of you!
Oh, it's a voice cutscene. Okay.
Like hells we will! We know who you've got in there!
We're not leaving till you hand her over!
Bring her out! Bring her out!
Oh, they want to tear Fordola limb from limb. Got it.
What's going on?
Someone let slip about Fordola.
It's true then! The bitch really is in there! I knew it! I bloody knew it! We demand vengeance! Bring her out! Today we butcher the butcher!
Come on, you don't mean that! We'd be no better than the Imperials if you'd all just calm down!
Calm down! That monster and her thrice damned skulls dragged my man from our home and beat him to death in the street!
Damn. Go off.
Aye, and my dad! That bitch has spilt enough blood to fill a lock!
We all know her crimes. She's a traitor and a murderer. How many of your resistance friends have died at her hands, eh? And here you are, protecting her!
So that's what all the fuss is about. Hearken to me, brothers and sisters of Alamigo.
Oh, just the way that like
Who's this?
the crowd just stops.
That's the Bull of Alamigo.
My friends,
Just like record
you
scratch.
are not alone in your anger, your grief, your despair, for it is mine as well. That gnawing pain in your breast, it is enough to bring an old bull to his knees.
So this is kind of like... Okay. These sorts of scenes are always a little weird to consider because the angry mob is on some level justified. Let's be real here. Fordola's a war criminal. Let's not mince words. And it's kind of like how to describe this. You know how like Batman's whole thing is just like he can't kill his rogues gallery because he feels that it would be too easy and he wouldn't stop. And it's just like this is the justification for why like the Joker is allowed to keep living despite the fact that like if the Joker wasn't around, like things would quite frankly be generally better. It's kind of one thing when it's that, where it's just like you've got a character who is such like a net negative, whose existence is like a net negative and impacts so many people's lives on a regular basis, where it's just like he's still like getting out and doing shit. It's an entirely different thing, which is like Fordola's already imprisoned. Like, she's not killing anybody else right now. She'll probably never get an... She's likely never to get another chance. But we'll get to that later. Like this, I always kind of... How to put this? The argument of if we kill them, we're no better than them is nuanced. Where it's just like occasionally you have situations where it's just like you can't let this like this person continuing to live would be in general a negative thing for the rest of the world. In fiction. I'm not going to get into like any sort of real life shit. In fiction, there are situations where it's like this character continuing to live, generally speaking, is a net negative for the rest of the world. But other times it's like Fordola is a prisoner right now. Dragging someone who is already a prisoner and like locked up and can't currently hurt anyone else out into the street to be torn limb from limb, yeah, then maybe you're not exactly on the moral high ground anymore. I think that's maybe a bit much. It's a nuanced topic.
But I ask you, brothers and sisters, to think not only of the family and friends who were cut down before your very eyes, but to think also of the ones who were abducted. The ones who may yet live. Where were they taken? What became of them? These questions demand answers. I share your thirst for justice, for vengeance. But we will gain only fleeting satisfaction if we give in to our base appetites. We will never know the truth. Now is the time that we, the people of Alamigo, must decide what manner of nation we will build for ourselves, and for generations yet unborn. When they look to our example, will they see a people who held fast to their principles, or one who cast them aside when tried?
It's also important to note that Fordola is going to have to live with the fact that she killed all of her friends and it meant nothing in the end, so, you know... That's already eating her up inside.
I say to you, it is our responsibility to give these prisoners a fair trial, that they might answer to all of Alamigo. The Garleans called us savages, and I'll be damned if we prove them right.
Yeah, all right.
I know you're right, I do, but I can't.
It's kind of funny, just like, bro, Rabon just said the same thing Lise said, but in more words. Fordola and her skulls may have aspired to be Imperial citizens, but they were born Alamegan. To their countrymen, they are traitors of the worst kind. It's true. They sucked. The Butcher has much to answer for, but to simply drag her from a cell and slaughter her in the street. General Aldine is right. Hey, Lise was right. Lise said the exact same thing. It was Lisa's idea first. Raubon just showed up and was tall at them. And said the exact same things she was saying in more words. Thank the gods General Aldine arrived when he did. Any later and we would have had a riot on our hands. After 20 years of Imperial rule, it is no surprise that people should seek a target for all their pent-up rage and grief. I only wish I knew the solution. Lise, how you doing? My thanks, Rabon. Listening to that anger, I could feel myself being swept away. 'Tis a difficult tide to stem. 'Twas that same rage which brought us to our feet and carried us to victory. But now the war is over, all the unspent fury is being channeled into vengeance. Aye, and it's not just here. We've reports of mobs forming all over. They've been targeting folk known to have cooperated with the Garleans. It starts with insults most often, then someone picks up a stone. Some industrious souls even thought to seek out the graves of Xenos and his officers. It was grim. I want to build a country where everyone, regardless of race or origin, can live side by side in peace. But maybe the time isn't right. Maybe people just aren't ready. Maybe we need to be more... You know what would be great right now? Segregation. Jesus fucking Christ. Lise, listen to yourself. Christ almighty. Maybe now isn't the time for a fucking country where people can't get along regardless of race or origin? Really? That doesn't mean I'm not going to try. Okay, good. You saved it. Good lord. The representatives will be here soon, and I'll be damned if I'm going to give up before I've even begun. Who are these representatives exactly? Oh, village elders, refugee leaders, and the like. It wouldn't be right for us to dictate the nation's future on our own, so we've planned a summit of sorts. We've even invited the Ananta and the Kikiran to participate. Amigo stands at a crossroads, and this meeting will decide which path it takes. The matter of Fordola's sentence cannot be suffered to disrupt proceedings. Uh-huh. Then let us execute her and be done with it. She herself asked to be put to death. Nago! I already explained why we wouldn't do that. Aww. Nago's disappointed. She really wanted to kill somebody. Sending her to the gallows might satisfy people right now, but where would it end? Should we round up everyone who collaborated, and everyone who didn't resist? There'd be no one left, and we'd be no better than Theodoric or Xenos. I just want to execute somebody. Begging your pardon, but might I be allowed to speak with Fordola? Only I caught a glimpse of her past, a moment of it anyway, during the fight. She's done terrible things, aye, unforgivable things, but in some ways she's a victim of the circumstances in which she was born. That's something I can understand. Alright, speak with the prison guard when you're ready and I'll come and join you. I want to talk to her too. I'll return to my other duties then. We've barely begun to investigate the facility where they gave Fordola her powers. Be fairly warned, friends. She will test you. Don't let your emotions color your judgment when she does. Okay. Oh, I guess I'm going too? Alright. I think it's best if I stay outside and keep watch for troublemakers. After what that woman did to Mefrid in Commander Kemp, I'd struggle not to throttle her. Yeah, that's fair. Speak with the guard and we'll all go in together. I've no great wish to save Fordola, even if I could. There's more to her than meets the eye, I'm sure of it. If you will have me, I have a mind to attend this interview as well. I think this is a voiced cutscene, which will be nice. You have the commander's permission to enter, then. Yeah, man. Fucking let me in. God. Sup, fuckers? Hey, girl, hey?
Well, well, well. So many visitors. Come to have a good laugh, have you?
Just a little bit. Sorry,
Or
bad
do you
joke.
mean to put me out of my misery? To finish what you started? It's about bloody time.
That's not why we're here, no. Do you remember what I said? How I promised you you'd live long enough to see us win our freedom? Well, I meant it. And not to mock you either.
You're wasting your time. All of this is pointless! There's no reason to keep me alive, and you know it! I killed your men. I killed my men. And you know what my only regret is? That I didn't kill you when I had the chance!
I don't believe that for a second.
That's a lie, and you know it. You think we can't tell what you're trying to do? That we're blind? Yeah, you're a fool, but you're not stupid. You're ruthless. Relentless. You'd give up anything and everything to get what you want. You didn't come this far, climbing over the bodies of your own brothers and sisters just to piss it all away. I see you, Fedora. I see you for what you are.
Ugh. I'm having an echo. I see you alone on a Friday night.
Come along, Fadola. We mustn't be late. The Imperial Viceroy will be attending today's banquet.
All right! Father, what's Lord Gaius like? Is he nice? Are you friends?
There you go again with all your questions. Lord Gaius is a great and honourable man who looks after all of Alamigo. He's very busy, and if we don't hurry, we'll miss our chance to see him.
Filthy tin-head lovers.
Father, what did that man call us?
The little tin-head lover doesn't know what she is, eh? A traitor, sweetheart. A backstabbing bitch who'd gladly betray her kith and kin to gnaw on what few scraps the Imperials deign to toss her. Like your bastard father and whore mother.
I always feel a bit weird when narratives take a turn like this. Like, is this man wrong to be angry? He is perhaps wrong to be angry and insult a child who doesn't necessarily know any better. But, like, is he wrong? Like, just kind of on, like, a larger scale to be upset like this? the game would seem to have us kind of like come down on the side of like, yeah, this guy is being kind of a dick, and it's not good the way that he is like treating Fordola and her family. And on some level, like, I get it. Again, Fordola is a child here. She's like look at her. She's like, what, 10? Like, she probably doesn't even know what an occupation is. Her parents, on the other hand, may very well be complicit. Because, I mean, look at them. They're decked out in finery. They're going to a banquet. Gaius is going to be there. I don't doubt that Gaius is, on some level, kind to Fordola's family. Like, everything we know about, like, Gaius versus, like, a lot of the other legatuses within Garlemald is that, like, all things considered, Gaius is probably the least evil of anybody in Garlemald's army, realistically speaking. And I mean, I don't know if we have, like, a clear idea of, like, the exact nature of Fordola's parents, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Allegiance to Garlemald. If this is a situation where they are just honestly trying to get by to give their daughter the best life she can and just, like, doing whatever they can to make sure that she can live and live comfortably. Or, again, if they're maybe complicit. We don't really have a full picture of that. But again, it's just like, A, it's a little fucked up that this dude is doing this to a child. Like, saying these things and being, like, this hateful to a literal 10-year-old. He's beefing with a preteen. But again, is he wrong to be upset? And the answer's no. He's not wrong to be upset. Like, basically any anger that, like, the occupied peoples of Alamigo have is entirely justified. Because they're being occupied by an imperialist army. If I was a braver streamer, I would probably draw some parallels to real world happenings. But let's not quite go there at this time in relation to Final Fantasy XIV, the anime MMO. Let's just continue.
That's not true! My parents are good people! They've never done anything like that!
They might have. Who knows?
Oh, but they were quick to help themselves and their bitch spawn, weren't they? You're just as guilty as them.
Again, he's beeping with the preteen. Apparently there's a new DMC anime coming to Netflix. Yes, there is. It is being produced by Adi Shankar, who produced the first run of Castlevania. But I don't think produced Nocturne.
Fordola!
Traitors!
Please, you have to do something. My husband and daughter are in danger.
Oh yeah, here's the other side of this.
Soldiers of the Imperial Army are under no obligation to intervene in the disputes of arms.
Imperial Army doesn't fucking care. I understand Fordola's, like, desire to survive at any cost for the sake of the ones she loves. But was this worth it?
We're citizens. We have rights. I'm scared.
It's all right. It's all right. They don't understand, but they'll see in time. They'll see that this is the only way to survive.
Patently untrue.
Traitors! Traitors!
Oh, that's a big rock.
Let the savages have their fun. They'll be more compliant once they've tired themselves out.
Yikes.
Vidola, please. You already have citizenship. Why would you want to become a soldier?
There is also like a twinge of like the Imperials not stepping in because them allowing infighting to presume keeps the heat off of them, which yeah, is like that's a tactic. You know, keep people within like a certain community fighting between each other, and they don't have the energy to tackle the actual problems. Like that's a thing that happens. But like also they'll see that this is the only way to survive. It's just like, come on, man. Really? Ooh, angry.
Oh, gods. What have you done to your face?
She gained angry eyebrows when she grew up.
Forgotten it already, have you? I'm honoring Father's memory.
By telling the world that you know better than a common savage.
Wow. Okay.
Am I though, Mother? Are any of us? Can't you see? Citizenship means nothing to them. If you're not a pure-blood Garlean, you're no different from any other savage. So I'll play the part. I'll join the Legion and I'll make them respect me. And when the mob see that, they'll think twice before throwing their stones.
Nobody comes out of this looking good.
Ansfrid, Rudolph, Emlyn. It's time.
Everybody's out here making the worst decisions possible.
Humiliating. They'll try to break us. Send us crawling back to our own kind. But we won't, no matter what. We'll bleed for them, die for them if we have to. We'll do whatever it takes to be free!
If you were planning to bleed and die for whatever it takes to be free, like, why not just join the Resistance at that point, honestly? Like, obviously the answer for that is because she clearly had a bad experience with people that hated the occupation, but like, you also have a bad experience with the Imperials, so why is this the side of the fence you come down on? I know there's a short story about Fordola that a bit of a spoiler here. There is a short story about Fordola that explains that she actually knew Lisa's sister Ida when she was younger. And Ida helping her... She was there when Ida died. And something about that set her on the path that she ended up on. And I forget exactly what happens.
So, you mean to play the part one last time, eh? The unrepentant traitor whose death will serve to unite the people?
Shut up.
He's reading you like a fucking book!
Kill yourself. Fashion a noose from your clothes. Wait for the guards to leave you alone long enough to slip it over your neck.
I said shut up!
Oh, but then it would have all been for nothing, wouldn't it? Whatever it takes. That's what you said.
Been in my head, have you? Had a little peek at my past?
Sure did. I find it very odd.
And what? A few stolen memories tell you everything you need to know, do they?
Absolutely they do. I have also read you like a book.
Don't you dare patronize me! You don't know a god's damned thing about the life I've led!
I literally do.
The bastards that killed him. The bastards that let it happen. My father deserved better! I swore I'd do whatever it took to make them pay!
By joining the Garlean army? Oh. Oh, you been in my head now? Cool shit, right? I'm like a proper hero. It's dope as hell. I hope you enjoyed it.
You.
Yeah, me.
All that power. All that pain. It's too much. Too much for anyone.
Not me. I'm handling it really well, actually.
They've done to you. The lies. The betrayal. The endless fighting. Yet there you stand. Unbroken. How? Why?
Because I won, bitch! Because I was the winner in the end. Because I'm super good at all of it. Ooh. Because I choose to is a really good answer for Eigeld, actually. But also, you know why, you saw, for those I have lost, for those I can yet say. These are all really good answers. Because I choose to.
Damn you. Damn you all.
You still have time, Fordola. Think about how you want to spend it. Let's go.
Anyways. Good cutscene. Like that. Da 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 da. Quest complete. The capacity to experience such visions of the past had always seemed to me to be a most desirable talent, but I see now that it is much a burden as a blessing. Sorry about that. I let my emotions get the better of me. It's just that she and I are of an age, and we're neither of us one thing or another. I can't help but feel like she's my problem to solve. Echoes of an echo. Lys is lost in thought. I don't know that we solved anything exactly, but we've given Fordola something to think about at least. Aye, I found something new to think about too. I don't know about you, Aigale, but the visions only come to me every now and then. From the way Fordola kept wincing, though, I get the feeling she's having them almost all the time. It's a lot of bad memories to deal with. Uh-huh. I wonder, could there be some fundamental difference between one who is born with the echo and one who has been artificially imbued with it? Well, the Immortal Flames have been scouring that research facility ever since the Liberation. There's a chance they might have some answers for us. General Aldine's there overseeing the investigation. Let's go and pay him a visit, shall we? Okay. Let's go. Can I get there from here? I think so. These fucking sprawling ass back streets. They do be saying that Backstreet is back, all right. Oh, that's a player character. I thought that was Sharantia for a second. I was just like, hey, wait a minute. What are you doing here? Hello, sir. General Alden is inside, aye? Will you be joining him? Yeah, man. Fucking absolutely. Let's see, what we got around here? We got a flame investigator. What are you investigating? That is a lot of body bags. So many bodies. Damn. A lot of people died in here. Hey, Arnvald. Ugh, should just burn this place to the ground and be done with it. Yeah, probably. Hello! We received a request from the Alliance to analyze these devices, and I've been recording everything of interest. Seeing this facility, I'm reminded of what they did to Kryl. Yeah, it's fucked up. Some fucked up shit that they did. Lys, how we feeling being here? Doesn't feel great. Come on, let's talk to Rauban. Hi, Rauban. What news? You spoke with Fordola, I take it? Yes. As expected, she didn't say very much, but it wasn't a total waste of time. Arnvald noticed something odd about her. He thinks she might be having visions almost constantly, which is not how the Echo normally works. Have you found anything here which might explain why it's so different for her? We've been hard-pressed just to organize the research materials, let alone study them. To be frank, I'd welcome the Scion's expert assistance if you have the time to lend a hand. Oh, and she's just walked off. Okay. Go check out the Magitech pod. The device in which Kryl was held seems even more ominous now that you know its purpose. The surrounding pods are marked Supply Subject, while this one bears the label Master Subject. Fucked up. The Ironworks received a request from the Alliance to analyze the devices, and I've been recording everything of interest. Did you notice the labeling? All the pods are designed to drain the ether of the occupant. Save that one right there. Unlike the others, the interior has been fitted with an array of sensors to measure etheric waveforms. To what purpose, however, I couldn't tell you. It's to do some fucked up shit. Oh, Lys, here you are. Leave this section to me. Yeah, alright. It's just like beep boop boop bop. Copying. It's just copy pasting the echo onto whoever's laying on the bed. Oh, hey, what's this? Idle conversation prohibited. Eating and drinking prohibited. The fallen scrap of parchment appears to list facility regulations, but nothing of any interest. Hey, man. Or ma'am, excuse me. So many bodies. Every one of them a victim of these experiments. Few show any signs of external injury. From what we've been able to determine, they perished from forcible ether extraction. Such a miserable way to die. Okay, Rabon, I think I figured things out. I know little and less of science, so any light you can shed on this facility's operations would be much appreciated. Igeld, shall we start with you? Yeah, man. Bunny, bunny, banunny, banunny, banoy, banunny, banunny, bunny, bunny, banunny, banunny, bunny, bunny, banoy, bunny, bunny. Taken in combination with the testimonies of Kral and Thancred, I do begin to see exactly what the Imperials were attempting here. The enhancement procedure entailed infusing a single candidate with ether siphoned from a multitude of supply subjects. As for the master subject, in this case Krile, the patterns of her etheric activity would provide the model upon which they would artificially engineer the candidate's aura. In other words, they were trying to recreate Krile's echo. Uh-huh. I believe so, which would explain our prisoner's present state. Krile is possessed of an unrivaled ability to hear the whispers of the soul, and it seems probable that the procedure engendered the same acute sensitivity in Fordola. The soldiers who guarded Fordola, many of them lost friends and family to the skulls. And there's a sentry at her door night and day. If she can't help sensing their thoughts and seeing their past. But you don't just see their past. You live it. All the emotions, all the pain. Imagine what it'd do to you. You'd never be the same again. Indeed. As you may recall, Isael was completely transformed by a single glimpse of Hraesvelgur's past. Fordola has been forced to experience the agony of those whose lives she destroyed. The guilt must be unbearable. That explains her request to be executed. Sounds to me like the kind of justice. Regardless, she can suffer on for now. We have more pressing matters to consider. If the results of these experiments have been relayed back to Garlemald, there will be naught to stop the Empire from repeating the trick. They could give the echo to anyone, to an entire legion. We must be ready. We must learn all we can of these godforsaken procedures, and Fordola remains our best source of information. She'll not be getting her wish. Not yet. Right. Keep faith, lass. If you're to convince others to follow you, you must believe what you're telling them. People will respond to passion, but not if it's feigned. For the record, the resonance never comes up again, I'm pretty sure. Garlemald does not mass-produce people with fake echoes. It's not a spoiler if it doesn't happen. I understand. Thank you, General. We should leave the flames to it. Let's go. Okay. Like, I don't think this is one of those things where it's just like, oh, they wasted this entire plot line. I think it's just... It's not really just some. It's really just something that they didn't end up doing. Like, they decided to throw all of their, like, scientific efforts into Black Rose instead. Which is a whole thing that only gets, like, full explanation in, like, a series of side quests to unlock the Ananta Allied Society. I've never known why I was given the Echo. This makes me want to put it to good use. You only get 2 of them and you've met them. It's a waste of resources and neither worked out. Yep. The forcible extraction of ether from a living subject is invariably fatal. How many died that Fordola might gain her new abilities? Probably not as much as died giving Xenos his abilities. I remember there were a lot of, like, theories about what Xenos was and why he had such a strong resonance. And none of them turned out to be true? No. They got canceled before they could get a 3rd season. I go looking for answers about the Echo, and I end up getting schooled by Raubon, and more evidence that I don't know what I'm doing. It's no wonder people listen to him and not me. General Aldine is a veteran of countless campaigns, Lise. You cannot compare yourself to a commander of his experience. I know. I also know that I couldn't have convinced that mob to give up and go home. It makes me realize how much we rely on his authority. How much I still have to learn. Give me 1 second. I'm going to let Cassie loose real quick and see how she handles, like, being out while I'm still working on streaming. I just need to cover some stuff up. Because she's been in her crate this whole time. I tend to put her in there when oh. But she is going to be sleeping in the... So generally what I do is at night, because right now we have to... Here's the situation with the cats. Raggy needs to be separated from Mitty and Moose, because Raggy, when we took him to the vet, tested positive for feline leukemia. We don't know if it is a true case, because they didn't say Mitty tested positive, and those two share food and water all the time. So if Mitty didn't test positive, but Raggy is testing positive, then, like, we have no idea what the hell's going on there. But to be safe, we're keeping him separated from Mitty and Moose. But we also have to keep him separated from Cassie, because we know Cassie has feline leukemia, and if Raggy is just a false positive, we don't want to risk that he becomes a true positive by having, like, interactions with Cassie. So what I've been doing is Cassie had to be has a crate that she was in for about 2 weeks after her spay in order to recover. She's been sleeping in that crate while I've let Raggy out at night, but during the day, Raggy has been confined to the master bathroom, which is a fairly large bathroom. He's got plenty of room to, like, run and jump around. It's just, poor guy has to stay in the bathroom all day and only gets to come out at night. I wonder what he'll do when everything here is settled. I mean, it's his homeland. After going to the trouble of winning it back, might he not want to stay? 'Tis a quandary which countless refugees now face, to continue the life they built in Uldar or start again in the land of their birth. Galt, a moment! Ah! Pippin! My man! I am newly returned from Uldar with a message from the Sultana. Her Grace desires an audience with you. She understands that you have responsibilities here, but asks that you visit the palace at your earliest convenience. Okay. Well, I must away and attend to other business. Until next time, my friends. Okay, bye, Pippin. An audience with the Sultana. Depending on the nature of a consultation, this might be the perfect opportunity to inquire about the General's future plans. Yes, we'd all like to know about those, Alphino. But not everyone's as comfortable interrogating royalty as you. Take no notice of him, Igald. Alright, sure thing. So I think we're going to go ahead and call it here for tonight. We've done a dungeon. We've gotten some major story beats for 3.0. There's a fair amount of legwork from here to Shadowbringers for us to go through that I'm very excited to get through. I think you mean 3. What did I say? Did I say 4.1? No, this is 4.1. 3.0 is Heavensward. But yeah, there's a fair amount of legwork from here. Did I say 3.0? Wait, hold on. We're in 4.1 right now, is what it is. There's a fair amount of legwork from here to Shadowbringers, which I'm very excited to get to. Shadowbringers is a fantastic expansion with a lot of cool shit in it. But I don't want to... I've been having a lot of streams that have been going for so long that I like don't really have a whole lot of free time prior to like bed before I have to go to bed. So right now, at this time, since I'm currently in a week at work where they forgot to request the mandatory overtime and thus I can leave at the normal time that my shift is supposed to end, I'm trying to make the most of that. And thus, I'm probably going to go ahead and just end it here so that I have a good amount of time before I have to go to bed that I can just kind of unwind. So I do want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for coming by the stream. I hope you all had a good time. I know I did. If you enjoyed the stream, you can subscribe here on Twitch. We have special emotes for subscribers. You can also follow me on Twitter and Tumblr at AcidXShark. That's AcidXSHARK, where I post all the streams as they happen. Or you can follow me on YouTube at AcidXShark, where I post all the streams after they happen. Art for the stream, chat blocker was done by Isaac, who you can find on Twitter at _Knucklebone. That's _KNUCKLEBONE. He does fantastic work. Highly recommend checking his stuff out. VTuber was done by Audrey and B of Team Capel. You can find on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Tumblr, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Tumblr, BGen, Blue Sky, at Team Capel. That's TEAMCATPLE. They also do fantastic work. They are open for commissions. You should commission them. There's buffalo sauce in there, baby. Don't lick that. If you do commission them, please use their VGen. Don't email them. That will not work. So just don't do that. Upcoming streams. Tomorrow, Darksiders. Saturday, Silent Hill 4. Next Wednesday is going to be Hellboy Web of Word. And then next Thursday, we will be continuing the Stormblood patches. So I hope you'll tune in for all that. If you want to go ahead and stick around, we are going to be raiding Penelope, who is playing Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Let me just go ahead and set that up. And I will see you next time on the Shark Stream. Same Shark time, same Shark channel. Take care, everybody.